let's talk about the roster, because listen, it's going to be a lot of very quiet, desert type aspects. The rolling thing that rolls in the desert. I don't know what its name is. It's going to be like that over the next period of time for free agency. Because if you know anything about the Bengals, they usually dive right in free agency wave one, which is right now, the very beginning. And then they go very quiet. They go very, very quiet into wave 4, which is after the draft, usually after June 1st. That's when they make a couple more splash plays. But for the most part, they get very quiet after the first wave. Second and third wave, you wouldn't even know they're an NFL team anymore. They don't get involved at all. They act like it's like, a disease, and they don't want to get involved. So here's what we got, okay? There's still a good chance that we're going to sign a guard. Right now, it's speculated that we are still fighting for Tevin Jenkins. They speculated because you never know with the Bengals. We are also still fighting. Well, not fighting, but there's also a chance we might get Brandon Sheriff. That's like another possibility that people are saying we might get. So I hope we get both of them, because if we look at our offensive line, man, for as a starting unit, I do not like it for the guards. Tackles, I love. Brown and Mims, fantastic. Love to get actual backups. And by the way, this is what the 90-man roster looks like, meaning all of these players you're seeing on your screen right now are signed. So these guys are all signed to the active roster. This is the 90-man roster. Most of the players that you probably are saying, like Cole Burgess, wait, what? He's back? Yeah, he's been on the practice squad. But the problem is, when the season ends, the practice squad goes bye-bye, right? So what ends up happening is those said players will now go into a little pool where it's like, okay, now these players are going to be designated to future contracts, right? So those said players are designated for future contracts. So I shouldn't really say they're signed to the roster. Not signed to the roster, theoretically speaking. They're designated for future contracts. Some of them are signed. Some of them will be signed. But the point is, these guys aren't going anywhere, okay? Most of them are restricted free agents for a reason, because they're staying with us. But anyway, though, looking at that main roster, though, left guard and right guard, Cordell Volson and Cody Ford. I just like to personally sign 2 offensive guards, but really that backup depth, I don't know how I feel about it. Jackson Kirkland, I'm going to hold out my opinion until we see Scott Peters really take over with him. Same thing with Cordell Volson. I'm not fully upset that he is on, he is a starter right here, just based on the fact that I have a lot of faith in Scott Peters. I'd like to get somebody else though, but I think Scott Peters can do a lot of good things with Matt Lee, Jackson Kirkland, and Cordell Volson. I think he could probably even elevate Cody Ford to a certain degree, although Cody Ford's like a Swiss Army knife. Guy could be used anywhere. But I would like to personally sign 2 offensive guards moving forward. And I think if we do that, yeah, the tackles are still kind of up in the air, but Cody Ford can kind of be utilized anywhere in that department. And we'll probably take one in the draft, which will help us out greatly. Receivers, I don't think we're going to touch in free agency, and I don't think we're going to touch in any capacity in the draft. Mike Gesicki is like a wide receiver 3, a big wide receiver 3. Yoshi, obviously, right now is considered the slot receiver, but he's really best at outside, going deep outside. And he's kind of like T. Higgins, like not replacement, but T. Higgins-esque type design there. So Mike Gesicki is like a big slot receiver in the end. Behind that, Drew Sample is a glorified fullback. Obviously, Eric All out for the season, sadly. But really, if you want to kind of go through this, and this is kind of how I look at it, again, not everyone's going to agree with me, because Drew Sample is a glorified fullback, really our starting tight end is Cam Grandy, Tanner Hudson, and Terry McLaughlin. Those are our 3 tight ends. I think we're going to draft a tight end. More that I think about it, and the more I look into it, I think there will be, in this upcoming draft, I think we will take another tight end, and he will be a guy we try to develop throughout the season. The reason why I say that is because when you really break this down, you need another tight end on this roster. You got Gesicki, again, he's going to be a slot receiver. He's going to be a wide receiver 3 pretty much. Drew Sample, he's not a real tight end. He's a fullback. I mean, outside of those two guys, Eric All's off the seat. There's no reason not to. Like, you need a number 1 tight end outside of Mike Gesicki because, again, slot receiver. So, I think we'll take a tight end in this upcoming draft. Running backs, they want Zach Moss. The front office and the Bengals, they want Zach Moss. So, I know a lot of people are like, why is he cut? Why is he cut? Well, he's not going to get cut. He's the great blocking halfback. Obviously, hopefully he gets to his neck injury. He should. But there's no situation here right now where he's going to get cut. He's going to be on the roster for the foreseeable future. So I don't think we draft a running back because there's just no reason to do it. Zach Moss, Samaje Perine, Chase Brown, that's RB 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, I just don't see a reason why we would get rid of or get another running back. Now, we did go ahead and get back Cam Sample last night. We also got Joseph Asai back, which is awesome. Looking at this defensive line, feel a lot better about this defensive line now after the beginning part of free agency. I feel like there is still a spot for us to potentially, obviously, most likely in the draft here. We're probably going to draft a defensive tackle. I would love to see us maybe pick one up. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying, well, we need a D-tackle 1 to go with BJ Hill. I swear on everything, if anyone hates on my boy Chris Jenkins, the Michigan product, the Michigan goon man, I don't know why there's so much hate on Chris Jenkins. And I get it. It's like, well, he's also on his second year. He's a sophomore player. I don't care. He's the absolute animal. And I don't want any hate toward Chris Jenkins. But anyway, though, I personally like our defensive tackles. Not much room outside. If, like, for example, we do have to keep in mind, if TJ Slayton doesn't work out for us, I still have a lot of faith in McKinley Jackson, but I think we will also draft a defensive tackle. I would highly, highly recommend the Bengals draft a defensive tackle. It looks like Jermaine Pratt is going to stay with us. I don't really see him leaving at this point in time because, honestly, I don't think he has any value. I believe we did try to get a trade done with the Colts, and the Colts didn't want him. So, shout out to Jermaine Pratt. You wanted to be traded, but nobody wants you, so now you're back. Secondary, I would still like to add a veteran corner personally. I think that would be a great idea. I think we will draft a corner as well, but I would like to add a veteran corner in some capacity. I wouldn't mind drafting or adding a safety, either free agency or the draft. But linebacker, I would like to add another linebacker. Again, we'll probably add a couple in the draft and an edge rusher as well in the draft, but I know I see a lot of people on Twitter saying this roster is awful and they hate this roster and we have so many more holes. I think we do have a set amount of holes left, okay? But I look at this roster and I'm not really that crazy upset with it. Again, my biggest issue right now is left guard and right guard. That's my biggest issues right now. Outside of left and right guard, I'm fine with this offense. I'm not upset with this offense. Defensively, I want more depth at the D-tackle position, 100%. And I would like, again, in the draft to go edge rusher and linebacker. But I'm pretty good with this defense outside of, again, those said positions. Edge rusher, improve edge rusher, improve the D-tackle group to a certain degree. Is Joseph Asai a startable right or left end? That's a question mark. But again, I think we will take an edge rusher or defensive end in the draft. So I think he will compete with that guy anyway. Very possible we take one in the first round and he started day one, right? Linebacking group is a little weak. I would like to improve the linebacking group, but I would love to see more Moma Jagmita. I would love to see more of him. Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, there's still areas we can improve 100%, but I do like our roster. I do. And I know that's a unpopular opinion because so many people hate it right now. I see us improving, but I don't see us as we are the worst of the worst roster, which I think a lot of people think we are. Let me know below your thoughts, opinions. I'll see you guys next one. Peace out.